Welcome to the Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. Today we'll be talking to two students about their experiences with culture shock in France and Italy. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to our next episode of our CIEE Global Navigator podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about challenges of culture shock. So challenging moments and blissful surprises that you guys had while you were on program. We talk about culture shock because this is an important element for anybody traveling, right? And especially the first time going abroad. A lot of times people will have these moments of introspection that can be very challenging as their worldview is challenged, right? A lot of times people think the way that you live in your hometown, you just think that that's the way everybody lives, right? Because you've never seen anything else. And then you go and you travel abroad and you notice that even the smallest things that you would never even think of can be completely different somewhere else in the world, right? And sometimes that causes a lot of shock for people as they're traveling, right? So we wanted to talk about that with you guys today and how you experienced it in your study abroad program and how you dealt with it and what you learned from it. So tonight we have two participants with us. We have Maryjane, who is a senior in Colorado, and Maryjane did the Italian language and culture program in Rome this summer. And then we have Tamara. Tamara is also a senior in Ohio, and Tamara did the French language and culture program in Paris this summer. So welcome to you both. Thank you guys for being here.
Hi.
So my first question for you two is what knowledge did you have about the cultures of the countries you were visiting before you went abroad? So Maryjane, what did you know about Italian culture? Tamara, what did you know about French culture when you decided to study abroad in these places? What experience did you have? Did you study the language in school? And what kind of acquaintance did you have with the culture in general? Whoever wants to go first.
So I hadn't studied Italian in school before at all. I started studying Italian like on Duolingo when I knew I was going to go, which definitely helped. But I don't think I knew, I feel like, mostly about like the food, about the Italian food, and that's what I knew the most about. But I mean, going into it, I didn't know a whole ton, other than just, the simple things that everyone would think of. But yeah, I think the food was a big part of it, is that I knew the Italian food and I was excited for that.
So why did you choose Rome?
My family's Italian, so I was just excited to get to know where my family was from, and it's just like, since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to go to Rome, or just Italy in general. I've always wanted to go there, and mostly just experience where my roots are from and stuff.
Yeah, great. I love that. Tamara, what about you?
Well, I studied French. I kind of started in third grade, but kind of stopped doing it because my school didn't offer it in fifth grade for some reason. So I did have some French, and then after fifth grade, I started getting back into French and was getting more and more fluent, but I always struggled with grammar. I was never good with grammar. But before going to Paris, the culture that I knew of from them was that they were blunt. That Parisians are very blunt. But I heard that other people from France are a little bit nicer. But since I was going to Paris, that's like what I knew from them. I did know a couple of other stuff, like they're very family oriented and that they ate a little later and stuff like that. I knew a couple of other like school culture stuff, like how school kids live. I know the food, like escargot and stuff like that. But other than that, it wasn't too detailed of what I knew about them.
Okay.
And like the reason I chose Paris is because I was studying French since third grade, and I already know a different language. So I was like, this is just going to expand my opportunities that I have. So for like jobs or stuff like that, that's why I really want to go to Paris to like learn more French. And it's also a really cool place. Like the Eiffel Tower, like other stuff. So,
yeah, cool. So when you guys got to Rome and to Paris, right, did you experience any culture shock? And culture shock we can define as, confusion or anxiety while you're adapting to a new culture, while you're seeing differences from one culture to another, or ways that the French or Italian culture conflicted with your own American culture, causing you feelings of uncertainty. Did you guys experience that when you got abroad? Can you tell me about it?
yeah. I don't know. Jane wants me. Should I?
Whichever.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I kind of like came in with the expectation that I knew that there wasn't going to be any air conditioning. I did not expect for it to be this bad. I didn't have a fan for like the first 2 weeks, so it was really, really hot in my room. And I'm not good with the heat, even though I knew it was going to be hot. It was so bad for me, but it's okay because I got used to it in the end. Like I started sweating less. But there's that. And also, even though I came with the expectation also that people are going to be blunt, I didn't expect it to be actually blunt because, sometimes Americans are like too nice. These Parisians were really like testing me sometimes, but it's understandable. There's a lot of tourists around. So, yeah, that's something.
All right. Maryjane, in general.
I was definitely going to say something about the heat too. Like I knew it was going to be hot, and everyone says beforehand that it's going to be really hot, but it was so hot. Like we all had portable fans on us all throughout the day because there was no way we were getting through the day otherwise. And we were in a hotel, so we did have air conditioning. And I agree, we definitely got, like, you get used to it. Like you start sweating less by the end. Like it's weird, but the heat was a lot more extreme than I thought it was going to be.
You know, it's a heat wave.
And
you were there for.
Yeah. They don't give you like ice. Like you don't get ice in your drinks or anything, which definitely doesn't help when it's hot out. Like you just want ice water, and you have to ask if you want ice, and sometimes they don't even have it. Which was a little bit weird.
Can you think of like any other moments or just things that you, again, like realize that are different, little things that you never even thought about? I remember one thing for me, for example, going to Europe is, and this is something that the rest of the world sees as being like really weird about Americans, the fact that our public bathrooms have like gaps, right, in the stalls. Right. And then you go to Europe and they're closed, completely closed doors. Right. That's, one of those things that somebody who hasn't left their country is never going to think that it could possibly be different if you go somewhere else in the world. Right. And then you realize that actually the rest of the world thinks we're weirdos. Because we have, those gaps in bathroom stalls. Are there any other like things that you guys noticed like that?
This isn't a negative. This is more of a positive one, but the only other place I have been in Europe before this was I was actually in Paris, And when I went to Paris, it just seemed like everything, like clothing, food, was either just as expensive or even more expensive than it is where I live. And then when I went to Rome, things seemed so, so cheap. Like every morning we would go and I would get a coffee and a like giant croissant and it would just be €5. And that was like the first time I was like, I thought he was like only ringing me up for like the croissant or something because I thought that was crazy that it could be that cheap. But like everything was just that cheap, which really shocked me. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Well, something I noticed from Paris is, I mean, there's a lot of people, so everything needs to be smaller. But something I didn't expect is for the bathrooms and the toilets to be separate. And like the room for like where you go to the bathroom, the toilet, it's so small and there's like a sink on top of the toilet too, on the part where you like flush. And like every time I turned around to wash my hands, like my back was touching the door, or I would have to like completely leave the toilet area to go to the bathroom area to wash my hands. And it was very inconvenient sometimes because I really needed to go to the bathroom. And then I kept forgetting that the toilet was separate from the bathroom.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm going to just the bathroom. But yeah.
Okay. Very cool. How are people with time? Are they very on time in France or in Italy? Or I know, coming from, again, like a Portuguese culture, right? You know that if we say we're meeting at 10, nobody's going to be there at 10. If you show up at 10, you're going to be alone, right?
Yeah, definitely for French people. I used to think that they were punctual, like they were gonna be in there on time, but apparently they usually get there like 15 minutes late.
Okay.
And our French teacher, her name was Sabrina, she would get there like 15 minutes late. And I was like, the teacher? And she explained to us, like, yeah, in Paris, in France, uh, if you're 15 minutes late, you're on time. And I was like, what? That's kind of crazy. I don't see, well, there is a lot of times where Parisians are in a hurry and they walk fast,
Uh-huh.
so fast. I had to learn to walk fast, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They got late still.
Funny. And what about eating dinner late? How was that for you guys? I don't know, maybe you guys eat dinner late at home when you're in the US, right? But sometimes some American families eat dinner at like 5 or 6, right? And then you go to Europe, especially Southern Europe, right? And that's different. So what time do people eat dinner around? Like Spain is notoriously late, right? Spain, people eat dinner not before 10 o'clock, right? What was it like in Italy and France? And how did you adjust?
Well, I didn't have a host family, so we would go out to dinner every night, and I think almost every night we went out at 7, which is usually like a little bit later than I eat here. But I don't think it was as late as most people went because I feel like when we would go out to dinner, it was empty. Like there was no one else who was eating dinner. It was just our group. Um, so I definitely think people ate later, but I just don't think we did. Just because they wanted us back to the hotel,
Right.
and we didn't have a family to go to. So I think it was pretty normal
Yeah,
for
but
us.
it still must be weird to be the only ones in the restaurant, right? And to realize like, oh wow, nobody else is here. We're waiting, like the restaurant
Yeah.
opens and we're like, okay, dinner time, right? And we're gonna wait. What about you, Tamara?
Well, for me, I did have a family. It was a single mother, lover. Okay, I usually eat dinner at like 6. For some reason, I thought that was late. No. For her, she usually ate it at around like 9.
Yeah.
And she asked us, like, what time do you guys want to eat dinner? Because she knew it was different. And I was like, oh, it's okay. We can eat at like 8 or something. So we did eat at around 8. I was always so hungry by the time I got home. So I would have like snacks. I had to buy snacks of my own so I could like survive the day because we did a lot of walking. And that was still too early for her. So she would just sit down with no food and just with us with her 3-course meal every time. There's always dessert at the end, which was so surprising. But yeah, it was like really late eating dinner. She wasn't there. She was like, I mean, she was there, but she wasn't eating.
Yeah.
She was just like sitting there watching us. She would try to talk too, so that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now I want to eat later at home because I'm not hungry at 6.
Yeah, exactly. Did you guys learn anything new about your own culture while you were abroad? Like, did you understand yourselves and your American culture differently, or even not even just American, it could be your Western mountain culture, right? Because I think something that's beautiful about CIEE is you're meeting kids from across the country as well, and you realize differences even within the United States, right? Like me being somebody from New England would realize differences with somebody from California or somebody from Colorado or Ohio, when we would notice some ways that we were culturally different too, right? So did you guys discover anything about yourselves and your own culture while you were abroad?
I think the thing that I noticed most is for where I'm from in Cincinnati, Ohio, transportation isn't that big. I think they're trying to get better, but for like my neighborhood, there's only like one little bus that passes by for like literally all like Cincinnati. And it takes forever to get to places if you want to get to that like little metro bus. And we don't like walk places because things aren't really close, especially where I live. And in Paris, you just like walk everywhere. You have your transportation. You can get somewhere that's like so far away on just like that metro ride. And that was really cool. And I was really sad when I got back because I'm like, I can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and go to like a coffee shop and then go to like a Zara and then go to like so many other places too on the same day. Also, I realized that I was really sad about this, but museums aren't free here. And I guess in America, we love like capitalism and consumerism, money, which is very sad because like these museums are for education and all that. And yeah.
It's surprising to see that they're free in other places, right?
Yes, it was like, they're like, oh, 21 and below. If you have your ID, if you have your passport, you can go in for free. I'm like, all these fancy museums, you can go in for free.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Definitely interesting takes, right? And I think big things, right? That we talk a lot about how American cities aren't walkable, right? Besides like New York City, maybe Chicago, right? Maybe Boston, but in general, American cities aren't walkable. Public transportation isn't like it is in a lot of other places in the world, right? And I think that's a shock a lot for American students when they go abroad and, realize these
we rely so much on cars.
Yes, the suburban sprawl, right, of the United States. And we need a car to get anywhere. Yeah. And when you got back to the US, how was that? So have you guys heard about reverse culture shock, where then you get back to the US, you get back to your home culture, and then kind of none of that seems right either anymore, because now all of your worldviews have been challenged and you've seen something different, and you've seen all of these differences that now your friends didn't see and your family didn't see, and you have a hard time understanding and communicating that with them. Did you guys experience any of that? Any reverse culture shock?
I think a big part of it was just like coming back from, like, had such a routine when we were there that it was like this. You spent 4 weeks with like the exact same people. You spent literally 24/7 with the same people. And so I think the biggest thing for me coming back was just that I wasn't with those people, was like leaving my friends and just like it was felt so weird that I wasn't with them after spending every single day for 4 weeks with them. It was really crazy. Um, and then the jet lag coming back was like 10 times worse than it was going there. Because when I went there, like I was not jet lagged at all, and I adjusted right away. And when I went here, I think it like I would be up for hours in the middle of the night, and it took like a week or two for me to adjust. Um, but yeah, I think it just felt really weird being back after being there for so long.
For me, the jet lag was terrible.
Yeah.
I like slept for 4 days straight after. It was terrible. My parents would like go into my room and be like, "Is she up? No, 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 she's not up." It was pretty bad. Something else is just like the feeling of walking every day. At first, like my feet would hurt so much in Paris, but coming back, I like missed walking and how like my body felt like I was like, oh, I'm like active and physical. And now I don't do that. I mean, I do sports, but it just wasn't the same as like taking a nice walk and looking at the view and all that. Everything, I just felt very sad and like looking at my sidewalk and all the houses that were really big. I kind of just like missed the architecture that was there. And also the eating stuff. Like I've been arguing with my dad, being like, why don't we just eat later? And he's like, it's not healthy. And I'm like, oh, please. It makes more sense. But yeah.
That's funny. And do you guys like talk to people about it? Do you talk to your friends? I know when I got back from study abroad, I was a depressed mess. And like I remember getting in a huge fight with my brothers one night because we went on a family vacation right after. And I was, you guys just don't understand my struggle, right? Like so dramatic. But did you
Yeah.
do you feel like you have people to talk to about it? Are you guys keeping in touch with your friends from program to talk about it?
Yeah, we keep in touch. We've all FaceTimed a couple times, and like we have our big group chat that we talk on. But like a part of me feels like I just connected with my friends there more than my friends here. Like I was just like, wow, I just like love you guys. And I felt like I was just better friends with them after 4 weeks than I have been with my friends here who I've known for years, which I obviously can't like talk to with my friends. I feel like I can't be like, oh yeah, I'm really sad because I miss my friends and because I feel like they're better friends than you guys. That was definitely hard because I was like, I want to tell you them about my other friends, but like I don't want them to feel, I don't want them to like know that they like mean a little more to me.
Yeah.
Which was definitely a hard part.
Because there's something about traveling and like you said, being with these people 24/7, right? And experiencing life-changing experience together. It's natural that it's going to bond you in a different way, right?
Right. Yeah.
Tamara.
Yeah. If I've tried to talk about it to my friends, but I try to avoid it sometimes because I feel like it sounds like I'm bragging.
Mm-hmm.
Like went to Paris. And I think a lot of the time people like romanticize it and all that, but it's just like a new place. It's not perfect. And I try to explain it to them, but I feel like they think that I'm ungrateful. When I'm like, yeah, Paris, like, sure, if you come in with expectations, you're probably not going to be happy. But it's a really beautiful place with a great culture. And I mean, I try to explain that to them.
Yeah, that it's a real place where real people live.
Yeah, real people, humans.
It's fairy tale place that we watch in movies.
Yeah.
Both Paris and Rome, right? They're two really, really romanticized cities in American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to be in these places that. So now we're going to move to the next segment, which is questions that you guys have for each other. So I asked both Tamara and Maryjane to prepare a question for each other.
If you had any not culture shock, homesickness, how did you deal with the homesickness? Because I know I had like terrible homesickness the first week or so.
I didn't think like I was gonna get homesick. Like I've traveled a lot without my family before, and I don't think like I've never gotten homesick before. So I wasn't expecting to. I was like, oh yeah, like I won't miss you guys. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later. But I think it was just so different because you're in a group with people that you don't know and you don't know anyone that you're with. And in our group, personally, there was a lot of drama. And like there was a moment in time where I was just like, I just felt like I wanted to go home and I didn't want to be there anymore. And like it just felt like a lot. But I think I kept in touch and I talked to my friends a lot. I talked to my family. I talk to them sometimes. I think talking to your family more doesn't necessarily help. So I would talk to them, like text them a couple times a day, call them every now and then. But I think really just like I just tried really hard to make good friends instead of worrying about being home and missing my friends at home and missing my family at home. I just tried to make a new family where I have friends that I really, really enjoyed being with. Um, that worked out really well. And I think I was super, super happy with them. So I think just finding the group of friends that I belonged with was what really helped me through homesickness. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you what like your all-time, like your favorite activity that you did was.
Oh, yeah, it's tricky because we were busy, like every day was something new. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
gotta recall back now. I gotta like think back about Paris. Um, I really like the day that they made us bake with like a chef. And we made these like cream puffs and they were so good. I ate like 20 of those like mini little things with like big sugar chunks on it and my stomach hurt afterward. But then like in general, I think my all-time favorite thing that we did in Paris was that even after the excursions that we had free time. And with my group of friends that I found, that like how you said I clicked with, because it kind of took me a little bit to find that group. We
Yeah.
just like went everywhere and we tried to like check off like every spot that we could. And it was a bit tiring at times, but I'm very thankful that I had like that one girl that was like, okay, guys, today we're going to be doing this, 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 and this, meet at this time. And that was great. I really liked it. She was like the mom of the group.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely had that too. I know exactly what you mean.
Did you do any cooking too, Maryjane? Tamara did cooking.
Yeah, we did. We did a cooking class and we made pizza. And I will say it was like the best pizza we had there. But what was funny was so we came in and they had everything for us to make the dough. And so then we made the dough, but obviously dough has to like rise and stuff. So then they just took our dough when we were done and threw it away and then gave us dough that was already pre-made for us and then just made us use that dough. And they just like then just made us put this pizza sauce on it. So it wasn't like we didn't actually make anything. It was just for the experience. So I wouldn't say I actually made the pizza, but
Yeah. What about you, Tamara? Were your cream puffs good? Did you do a good job cooking?
Yeah, I heard that. Well, our chef, every group had a different chef apparently, but our chef was really good. He spoke French the whole time. He asked us like French or like English, and everyone in my group was like the level 3, and they were all like French, French, and we're like okay. And so he did everything, and there's a couple things I didn't understand, but it's okay because he was showing us. Apparently there's like these other in the other group with other chefs, these kids were like piping it wrong on the parchment paper and she would like scrape it off, put it back in the bag and tell them to do it again. We didn't have that. He kind of was just like, oh, it's a little wonky, it's okay. He would just let us like make our own little weird shapes with it, but it was really cool.
The French don't mess with their desserts, right? Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the last segment, rapid fire questions. I'm just gonna go back and forth, ask, one person, one question, and I want you to just say the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't have to elaborate, nothing, just your first answer. So let's start with Tamara. What was the strangest food you ate while you were in France, or the most different?
Escargot.
Did you like it?
I did, except like the thought that it's a snail.
Okay. Okay, cool. Maryjane, what is your favorite food from Italian cuisine that you tried?
Carbonara.
Okay. Very good. Tamara, a new French social, like custom thing that French people do that you learned about while you were abroad.
They like playing this game with this ball, like these heavy metal balls. They're really heavy. And they just throw, it's like giant marbles. But they go to the park where there's just like a random area just for it, and it's like sand. They just throw the balls.
It's bocce ball, right? Is that bocce ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played that. It was fun. Very competitive.
Very cool. Maryjane, an Italian song that you learned. Did you learn any new songs? Any Italian songs?
Yes. Disco Paradise. A lot of it is in English, but our professor that we had, he made us he basically choreographed a whole dance for us to do to it, and then made us stand in front of the Coliseum and made us do the dance and do a flash mob in front of everyone. And so then the whole time, like every day, me and my friends would go into a store and Disco Paradise would be playing, and we'd like do the dance that our professor had taught us. So yeah.
Video. Tamara, a way that you learned that the US and France are similar.
Well, I did describe how people are different, as in like one of them, like Parisians are kind of blunt. But I think like we have like the two extremes here in the US. Some are extremely nice and some are extremely blunt. And that was kind of a similarity that I found. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Maryjane, a way that American culture and Italian culture are really different. Let's step out too.
In Italian culture, I feel like there is like less different, like I can't say the word. Less like difference in like food, but like for example, like we ate like pasta or sandwiches or pizza. But within those categories of food, there was a million different things that you could like eat. Like they could dress it up in so many different ways. And like if you have pasta here, it's like spaghetti or like cheese pizza. Like we just eat different foods, and they think that pasta is like all they eat, but they think they call it like a different meal for each thing, because you're not eating pasta at the same time. You're eating carbonara and you're eating gnocchi and you're eating like basil pasta.
Tamara, a moment that made you feel really nervous or anxious.
I feel like every time I had to go get my food for lunch, I was so nervous because I was scared that they were going to be like thinking that I was like kind of stupid and like my accent's not perfect or anything. So I was always nervous getting my baguette sandwich every day from like the same store.
Maryjane, a moment that you felt really, really happy.
I think like one of the first times that I hung out with like my group of friends that I became really close with, that we hung out all together, because it took like a couple of weeks for us to actually like all become close friends and like realize that we all were super close. And like we were in a hotel, so we would hang out like at night when we got back. And so like just the first time that we all were like, do you guys all want to hang out tonight? And like we all went into one person's room, and all 8 of us sat on the 2 twin beds, and we played Uno, and we played all kinds of card games, and we watched horror movies, and we just talked. And I felt like I just belonged there, and it just made me super happy.
Okay, now the last two questions I'm going to ask both of you. So, Tamara, what was your favorite spot in Paris?
I think my favorite spot was the Seine because I just have so many good memories there. We would just like all of us would just walk from our school, which was like less than a mile from like the Seine, like the edge of it. And we'd just sit down. We'd just like people watch and stuff like that. We ate our lunch. And also there was just like so many funny moments that happened there's like this dog was swimming. It was a really cute golden retriever, and like these like really handsome firemen would like release little ducks into the Seine. But yeah, I just really liked that. I got a lot of fond memories from there.
Awesome. Maryjane, where was your favorite spot in Rome?
Um, there's like right in the center of Rome, there's the like spot where Julius Caesar died, and it's now like a cat sanctuary. And then like all around that, and then like each street going down is just like um a bunch of shopping and restaurants and gelato. And that's we ended up there every single day because that's where everything was. And like you just saw everything. And I knew like I could get to anywhere if I knew where that spot was because it was just like engraved in your mind. And so that was probably my favorite spot was just being near there because it was super familiar.
Awesome. Tamara, what did you miss the most about the US?
I definitely miss my air conditioning
Yeah.
and my big bed because everything is like sized down. And I miss also my free water with ice that was really cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maryjane.
Um, I think I missed my cat the most, but I also missed my bed because our beds in the hotel were so uncomfortable. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to sleep on this for 4 weeks. After the first week, I like contemplated going to a mattress store and like getting a mattress pad because that's how bad it was. Like it was so uncomfortable. So I was so excited to come home and like sleep in my bed where I was like comfortable and it wasn't like hard as rock. And I woke up like sore all over.
Oh my goodness. And one last question. Describe your experience, your study abroad experience in 3 words.
Friendship, exploration, and culture.
Beautiful. Love that.
I think for me, just like different or like new, different, very chaotic,
Okay.
but very amusing still.
Awesome. That's awesome. Good work.
Oh, wait, can I say, okay, one other thing that I missed the most about the US was iced coffee because I am like a huge iced coffee person. Like, that is like, I will drink it every single day. I don't care if it's like -degrees outside. And they don't have that there. They have like bland hot coffee, not like sweet iced coffee. So the first thing I did when I got back was get some iced coffee, and I missed that so much.
So many people when they hear you say bland coffee. Because I know what you mean, no sugar, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Awesome. Anything else that you want to add? Any advice for somebody that is looking to study abroad?
I feel like my number one advice. Oh, sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I feel like my number one advice would be not to come in with extremely big expectations of the place and just realistically think of the place, you know, like you're there to learn, you're there to for like a new experience, and it's like really awesome, but don't come in with those really big romanticized expectations.
Awesome.
My biggest advice would just be to expect the unexpected. Like I did not expect that I was going to go to Rome when I applied because like it wasn't even in my top 3 originally. And then they told me, since I was applying for a scholarship, I should put a language and culture in my top 3. And so I put it in my 3rd. But like I did not, like when I got the email that that's where I was going, like I was so shocked and I was so happy. Like because that's really truly where I wanted to go in heart. I was just afraid I wouldn't get a scholarship and then I wouldn't be able to like afford it and go. But in my heart, that's what it would have been my first choice. And I think that it happens for a reason. But just like don't have expectations. Just expect the unexpected and just let things happen how they'll naturally happen.
Thank you for listening to Out of Your Comfort Zone. For more information on high school study abroad programs, visit ciee.org/global navigator.